Sometimes Christians say things that are hurtful and completely unhelpful. We're trying to be helpful, but we say things that just make it worse. And one of those places we do that more than anywhere is actually when it comes to discussions about church hurt, about spiritual abuse, and about religious trauma, especially church leaders and pastors, okay? It is so easy for us to say things that are completely dismissive about people's experience that end up making people look like villains if they've went through church hurt. We make it look like if you've been through church hurt or if you've been spiritually abused or you've been through religious trauma, that something's wrong with you, that you made a mistake. And this week, I've had some people in our community send me a meme on social media, a post that I want to talk about because this is one of those stupid things that Christians say that, hey, we've got to stop saying things like this because it doesn't help anybody. It is just ignorant. And man, I hate posts like these. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. And you may have actually seen a post like this. We've got to stop saying this, sharing this, typing this, because this stuff is ridiculous. So here we go. It says this, and I've seen this on my feed multiple times, but like I said, a community member sent it to me and was frustrated about it. I said, hey, let's react. Let's talk about this because we got to stop doing this stuff, y'all. But it says this: McDonald's can mess up your order 101 times and you still keep going back. But one thing goes wrong at the church and you quit. People just aren't hungry enough. Could you be more ridiculous? Could you say anything more stupid? That doesn't connect at all. You go to McDonald's and you have a bad experience. They get your order wrong and you come back again, right? That's what they're saying. But at church, a little tiny thing happens and we quit because, you church hurt people, you're quitters. People who have been spiritually abused or traumatized in the church, they're quitters who are quitting over something as small as putting onions on your hamburger when you said no onions. That is so dismissive and so painful. Here's what it actually does. It doesn't help anyone. It doesn't cause anyone who's been church hurt to go back to church. It doesn't cause anyone who's deconstructing and questioning their faith to actually run back to Jesus. Instead, what it does is it makes people run farther the other way because they say, hey, these people are so ignorant. If that's how Christians believe, I don't want any part of it. And I think that's a lot of times, let's be honest, y'all, that's what we're doing. The Christian response to things like spiritual abuse and deconstruction is actually pushing people away from the church. We're pushing them farther away from the church, not getting them closer. And that last line really kills me. Okay, one wrong thing happens at the church and you quit. Y'all just aren't hungry enough? You're not hungry enough. I would say this to the people who share that, the people who type that, say stuff like that. The problem isn't that people who are church hurt aren't hungry enough. The problem is that you aren't loving enough. That's right. If you've typed that, shared that, said that, in that moment, you weren't loving enough and you had no idea what it meant to look like Jesus. Jesus said people are going to know you by your fruit, the way you love one another. He said that the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is like it. Bingo. Love your neighbor as yourself. There is nothing loving about pithy social media comments and sharing memes like that. There's nothing loving about dismissing someone's experience without ever hearing about it and saying, you're the problem. Something's wrong with you. You're broken. You're not hungry enough. Here is actually, I think, a better way to respond. And here's what I think Jesus would want from us. I think when we encounter someone who's been church hurt or spiritually abused, we hear about a story like that. I think the thing we can do that looks most like Jesus is to simply say, hey, tell me about your story. I'm so sorry that you've been hurt. I'm so sorry for what you've been through. Would you tell me about your story? Can I listen? Right? And again, listening, apologizing, not trying to fix it, and then trying to focus on loving them forward. In today's world, most people don't know the difference between being listened to and being loved. Everybody has a message. Everybody wants their own voice heard. And that means that very few people in their hurt actually get heard. So when we stop to listen to someone, we stop to really hear them and empathize with them. A lot of times, that's the simple thing we can do that will make us look most like Jesus to them. So, hey, let me challenge you. You see something like this shared, you see stuff like this going, don't play into that, Christian. Don't share stuff like this. Don't say stuff like this. Instead, let's get curious. If you have a friend who's been hurt, if you have a friend who's deconstructing, if you have someone who's walking away from church or considering walking away from the faith, I want to challenge you. Sit down, listen to them, hear them out. And even if you don't agree with them right off the bat, focus on hearing them and loving them before you try to fix them or correct them. Because they're not going to hear that correction. They're not going to hear anything that you have to say. They're not going to hear that advice until they know that you care about them first. And hey, if you're walking through spiritual abuse, religious trauma, church hurt of any kind, I want you to know I'm so sorry that Christians and pastors say things like that. Okay? They say things like that. A lot of times it's out of ignorance. Sometimes they're just mean people. But the bottom line is Jesus, I don't believe he would react that way to what you've been through at all. And I'm so sorry for what you've been through. I don't even have to hear what it is, because if you're hurting, I know that the Lord cares about you, right? And because he cares about you, you're my brother, you're my sister, I care about you. We care about you. We're not dismissing that hurt. And at the same time, we believe that Jesus still loves you deeply and that he's coming after you, that he wants to be there to help you heal. So, hey, let's be better, church. Let's say things that help people heal instead of just pointing the finger at people who are already hurting. Let's not say ridiculous things. Let's not say ignorant things. Let's be better. Let's actually love and look like Jesus. That's how we disrupt the toxic church. That's how we look like the church that Jesus died for. Let's go. Let's love. Let's make a difference.